I rise to make a contribution to the microcredit bill. My research of microcredit facilities indicate that they were designed to overcome credit market failures and help low-income borrowers take advantage of investment opportunities. It expanded access to credit around the world, typically in the form of small business loans with relatively high interest rates and immediate weekly, bi-weekly, monthly loan repayments. Madam Speaker, our local reality, however, is that microcredit services are not being used as capital for business purposes only, but are also used for consumption. The services are used by individuals in need of help to deal with emergencies, to make critical purchases that could not otherwise be afforded, pay bills, and put food on the table in times of scarcity. This means that these borrowers aren't generating new income with the initial loan to assist with repayment, and oftentimes end up having to take out another loan to repay the initial loan, which creates a vicious cycle and translates into a lot more debt. In exploring our classifieds, I observed that for the numerous payday loan advertisements, one thing is clear. It serves to entice persons to apply for loans as low as $20,000 and as high as $5 million for any purpose within a 24-hour to 3-day turnaround, and with some becoming due on payday, with processing fees ranging from $1,000 to $3,000 and interest rates ranging from 3% to as high as 40%. Some microcredit lenders charge interest rates on the full amount of the loan rather than on the reducing balance, and some borrowers are bullied and humiliated in repayment. This puts a lot of pressure on individuals who end up resorting to the office of the Member of Parliament for assistance in the repayment of these loans. For the last 4 months that I have occupied this post, that has been my reality, and especially so now during the pandemic. Madam Speaker, there are microcredit entities that provide other services like accounting, general management consultancy, debt management recovery, the sale of appliances, and the operation of pawn shops, while also providing what they call cash in a flash, with sometimes no credit checks. I think we can use our imagination to determine how pawn shops and microcredit facilities complement each other. It is against that background, Madam Speaker, that the need for consumer protection in this type of environment becomes paramount. Borrowers need protection. They have rights. I find it heartening that this bill seeks to provide the necessary protection to our most vulnerable. What must be highlighted is that the bill does not recognize the provision of a credit facility to high net worth individuals as a microcredit service. So it is restricted to persons below a threshold. With that said, Madam Speaker, I highlight the role of the Commission as established under the Consumer Protection Act in having the responsibility for investigating complaints brought by a consumer of microcredit service. There are industries that I'm aware of that have been crying out for this type of intervention, and so I commend this move. I also highlight the requirement for microcredit institutions to provide the consumer with a loan agreement which must contain information relevant to the credit facility, including the rate of the interest chargeable per annum, the period of time given for repayment, the date on which repayment falls due, the installments payable, how the interest rate on default payments are calculated, as well as even the full cost of the loan expressed in both percentage rate of interest and dollar value. The property, if any, being given as security for the performance by the borrower of his obligation must also be contained in the agreement. It is a requirement for the language of the loan agreement to be clear and unambiguous. And where technical language is unavoidable, such language is accompanied by an explanation in simple language that is not false or misleading. Madam Speaker, effectively, borrowers will now be able to refer to their own documentation to remind themselves of how exactly they should pay, when they should pay, how long they have to make payments, and the actual rates of interest per annum to be paid. That places some amount of power in the hands of the borrower, as currently there are persons who have indicated that they have no idea of their terms of payment or the facility extended to them, and are sometimes hauled before the courts because of misunderstanding of the terms of the loan. Consumers will also be happy with the contents of Clause 46(4), which stipulates that the interest and any penalty to be paid on default of payment of a loan shall be calculated on the outstanding balance of the loan and not the original principal sum. What? Microcredit facilities will now be required to establish mechanisms to address consumer complaints. They will be also obligated to report and record consumer complaints and resolutions within the time and format specified by the Commissioner. The Code of Conduct to be developed will also outline the lawful methods of enforcement available where a borrower has breached the repayment terms of a loan, and will provide measures to be taken to facilitate access to microcredit services for senior citizens and consumers with disability. We should be proud of this move. I am also particularly pleased with the sanctions imposed for the use of violence, threats of violence, or other criminal means employed to harm the physical person or property of the borrower in the recovery of any debt owed to a microcredit facility. Madam Speaker, with all these rights must come some responsibility from the borrower, and so it must be noted that if they apply for a loan, they have an obligation to provide the evidence of their ability to repay the loan, and they must adhere to all payment terms agreed. There must be balance imposed. Thank you, Madam Speaker.